Welcome to Reckless Paradise, everyone. I am your host, Marissa, and happy Sunday, everybody. We are getting pretty close to wrapping up the month of June. I hope everybody's had a very, very good month so far. Unfortunately, this week has probably been the worst week of my life. I just recently had a lot of stuff happen all at once between my health and now my father's health. This week he is supposed to be getting transferred to another hospital in another state to get treatment in the ICU. I'm not going to go into details at this time, as I promised that I would try to keep it private. I've only shared it amongst close friends. So before I get into the episode, I ask that you guys please keep my dad in your prayers at this time. I'm going to be definitely missing him the next several weeks. He could be gone for weeks at this rate. It's going to be different staying home by myself. I don't know if I'm ready to adjust, but I kind of have to. I have no other choice. On top of that, I also found out some stuff about my health that has to get looked into as well. I really don't want to go into too many details. I feel like I should hold off for another episode or wait till I get more results back to talk about what's going on with my health. But for now, keep my dad in your thoughts and prayers at this time. So, I thank you guys for joining tonight's episode. I hope you enjoy. So, we have another random ranking Van Halen episode to put underneath our belts tonight. So, I actually came up with this list quite a while back, and I almost completely forgot about this episode this month. I had to last minute ask my friend for all the songs because I kind of forgot. So, in no particular order, here are the 10 songs up for grabs for tonight. Starting at number 1, we have Dancing in the Street. Number 2, Summer Nights. Number 3, On Fire. Number 4, DOA. Number 5, 8 Talk About Love. Number 6, Atomic Punk. Number 7, Big Bad Bill. Number 8, On Fire. Number 9, One Foot Out the Door. Actually, I think I missed some. Okay, I might have said one twice. Unchained and Amsterdam are the other two. I probably said one of them more than once. I am so sorry about that. So those are the 10 songs up for grabs. We literally only have 2 songs from the Sammy Hagar era, while the rest are from the David Lee Roth era. Now, for random ranking with Van Halen, I don't think we're ever going to get any of the Gary Cherone stuff, just because I did not like Van Halen 3 at all. Neither of us did. So I have my rankings here, and I also have Dystro's as well. So, I actually forgot to pull up my list. I meant to do that. Let me go ahead and put that together. There we go. Alright, so, I have my list. I have Dystro's list. Let's hop into it. At number 10, Dystro had put One Foot Out the Door. Now, unfortunately with Van Halen songs, I tend to get them mixed up from which album they come from. One Foot Out the Door came from... Let me see here. That came from Fair Warning. Now, I can see why he put that there, because I remember him telling me, when we were talking about all the Van Halen albums, he didn't really care for this one for some reason, nor did he remember it very well, which, to each their own. This was actually one of my favorite David Lee Roth era albums to date. I can see why he put that at number 10. He probably doesn't listen to it as much, nor did he really enjoy that album in particular, so he has every right to put it there. My number 10 goes to Amsterdam, which comes from the Balance album, Sammy Hagar's final album with the group. Overall, that album is not the greatest, but I will say this song is pretty good. The first 4 tracks from that album, as well as the closing track, all those tracks are really, really solid. It's just, when you get towards the middle of the album, it kind of gets a little sloppy, kind of gets a little boring. How do I say it? So, Amsterdam takes my number 10 just because I don't hear it a lot, and I'm not crazy for Balance in general, and it's not the best song out of the 10 songs on this list. And moving on to number 9, believe it or not, me and Dystro actually did the same exact number 9. We both went with Atomic Punk. That comes from debut album Van Halen 1, released in 1978. Now, just recently, we just broke down both Van Halen 1 and Van Halen 2 back in May. So if you guys have missed that, go check those episodes out, please, and thank you. We decided to do a little bit of a Van Halen week back in May before we started going solo. So, I remember when we talked about Van Halen 1 together, we both weren't crazy for Atomic Punk. Now, some Van Halen fans may tend to differ on how they feel about that song. I know some people actually really, really like that song. Could it be from lack of replay value? It sure as hell could be. It sure as hell could be. But for right now, it's going to stick at number 9. Maybe we need to hear it more. Maybe it'll change in the future as we hear it more. But for right now, it takes the number 9 spot on both of our lists. At number 8, Dystro went ahead and put Amsterdam from Balance. Once again, we did not care for Balance as much. However, this is one of the few decent songs off of that album. Once again, replay value definitely plays a factor in his listings, and I can see why he'd put it at number 8. I'm kind of thankful he didn't put it at number 10 like I did. So my number 8 went to Big Bad Bill. I also forgot Big Bad Bill is Sweet William now. That is the full song. I actually forgot about the second half, but I've just always called it Big Bad Bill. I've never considered the stuff in the quotations. That song comes from Diver Down, and if you know me well enough, I am a huge Diver Down fan. That is by far my favorite Van Halen album of all time. It's kind of like tied up there with 1984. Diver Down is fucking great. It really, really is. However, this is one of the songs that I don't remember very well off of that album, which should kind of tell you a story, but, I mean, I could always go back and listen to it a little bit more, and maybe I'll like it the more I hear it. I've had that happen where the more I hear the song, the more I really like it, and I want to go back to it. So it's kind of one of those cases, again, where lack of replay value, I just need to hear it more. But overall, it's not a bad song. Okay, at number 7, Dystro went ahead and put DOA. Oh my, I'm actually kind of surprised by that one. That one kind of took me a bit aback a little bit. Now, DOA is from Van Halen 2. Not to be confused with the Foo Fighters DOA from In Your Honor. That song is really good. I'm a little surprised. But, in his case, it's probably replay value, as usual, which I can understand. I know he liked Van Halen 2, though. I know that. We both really enjoyed Van Halen 2 and Van Halen 1, for that matter. A lot of people say Van Halen 2 is, like, the fan favorite. Like, it is the best album they've ever done. It's a really good post-cursor, we'll call it, to Van Halen 1. So I'm just going to assume it was replay value for him on that one as well. For my number 7, I went with One Foot Out the Door from Fair Warning. I absolutely love Fair Warning. It's a really, really good album. I really wish more people would talk about that album, in my opinion. It's one of the best from the David Lee Roth era. I think when I went back and listened to it, because I did go back and listen to almost all these tracks when I was doing my ranking last month, because I had this ranking done since last month. When I went back and did it, apparently I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than the other 3, so I had to put it at number 7. I think what it just needs is a little more replay value for me as well. But I do remember overall that Fair Warning is really, really good. I mean, it has my favorite song on it, Center Swing. I mean, come on, can't go wrong. Alright, at number 6, Dystro went with Big Bad Bill, which, again, that's from Diver Down? Yeah, Diver Down. I'm actually surprised a little bit, kinda. I remember when we did Diver Down together, he really liked this song, as well as Happy Trails, which closes out the album perfectly. I don't know what it is. Dystro really likes the goofy songs that Van Halen does. Happy Trails, that one. Ice Cream Man from Van Halen 1. On Fire from Van Halen 1. I mean, come on. What's not to like about the goofy stuff? Big Bad Bill is a good song, and I'm actually kind of glad he put it at number 6. For my number 6, I'm kind of regretting putting it here now, because I've heard it a lot more. Since I did the ranking, I put On Fire here from Van Halen 1, which happens to be the closing track from Van Halen 1. It's a very, very hyper song. A lot of screaming involved with David Lee Roth, of course. I mean, you can't have David Lee Roth without him screaming some of the vocals, like, ah! So I went with On Fire here. It's a very, very good song. It definitely beats the other ones that I have put before it. I'm kind of regretting not putting it in the top 5 at this time, but if I get it again for another random ranking, I'm sure it's going to be way higher at that point. So, I smell redemption for this song coming. At number 5, Dystro went ahead and put Dancing in the Street. Dancing in the Street, it's a classic. However, it's not the original. No, Van Halen did a cover of this song. This was from Diver Down as well. Now, I'm going to see who did the original. Dancing in the Street original. So, it's from Martha and the Vandellas, if I am pronouncing that correctly. That is a super old song. It's also a song written by Marvin Gaye, I guess? It first became popular in '64 when recorded by Martha and the Vandellas, whose version reached number 2. So technically it's written by Marvin Gaye and 2 other people. But it's from the 60s, like the mid-60s. So it's been covered by a lot of artists, Van Halen being one, and also notable is the Rolling Stones featuring David Bowie. So I actually know it'd be Mick Jagger and David Bowie. They did that together. I like that version too. I really, really do. That'd actually be a really good debate hour, the 2 versions, and maybe even the original, if I can get Dystro to do it with me. Overall, Dancing in the Street definitely belongs in the top 5, and I'm very glad we're both on the same page about that. It's a classic. It's probably one of my favorites, to be honest, from Diver Down. My number 5 is Unchained. Unchained is one of those songs that you tend to always hear on the radio nowadays by Van Halen. Now, once again, I always tend to forget which album each song belongs from. So this one also came from Fair Warning. What a shocker. I always hear this one on show. I've heard it on other stations in the past. I've heard it on Sirius XM. It's good. It's really good. It's one of their bigger hits, to be honest with you. So, once again, it belongs in the top 5. How could you not? It's kind of like a sin to not put it in the top 5. At number 4, Dystro went ahead and went with the second Sammy Hagar song on this list, Summer Nights. I honestly love, and I mean love, 5150. That is by far the best Sammy Hagar album they've ever done. Minus OU812. OU812 is really good too. It's a really good runner-up for the Sammy Hagar stuff, if I had to rank them. But 5150 takes the cake, and Summer Nights is probably one of those songs where you can listen to it any time of the year and still feel like it's summer. Like, I've listened to it in the damn winter, and it gives me like all the summer like vibes and summer joy and kind of feeling. I'm very surprised he put it at number 4, because I know that he wasn't crazy for a lot of the Sammy Hagar stuff, but I do remember that we both agreed that 5150 was their best album for the Sammy Hagar era. And so, I mean, I guess it has every right to be in the top 5. Honestly. My number 4 is DOA from Van Halen 2. I absolutely love this song. It is quite possibly one of the best songs from Van Halen 2. Next to Beautiful Girls, of course. DOA, honestly, there's so many songs called DOA. You've got Van Halen, you've got Foo Fighters, you've got Fall Out Boy. I mean, there's probably more that I don't know about, or I'm probably forgetting. But I'd have to say Van Halen's is probably the best out of the 3 that I know. Van Halen 2, like I said, in general, is just such a really good album, and I feel like I would not be doing this song any justice by making it skip the top 5. So I had to put it at number 4. It's really, really good. At number 3, Dystro outdid me with this one. He put On Fire from Van Halen 1. This is kind of where I feel really bad for not putting it in my top 5, let alone the top 3. That song is really freaking good, and I remember him really liking it when we revisited Van Halen 1 for the breakdown. I remember he really, really enjoyed it. He likes the hyperness of David Lee Roth. I mean, come on, who doesn't? It's a perfect closing song for Van Halen 1. My number 3 is Dancing in the Street from Diver Down. As I've already mentioned, it's a really, really good song. It's been covered by many artists. And honestly, this is probably the best version, in my opinion. However, I don't think I've ever heard the original. At number 2, wow, okay, so this is kind of interesting. At number 2, Dystro went with Unchained. So, I can see why. It is a big hit. It's a radio hit, you know, everybody hears it on the radio now and then. I'm sure Dystro probably hears it too, at this rate. Man, Unchained is good. Unchained. So I really don't have much to say about that, honestly. I can see why he'd put it at number 2. He's more of the one to pick the hits for his top 5. Sometimes you'll pick some of the hidden gems, but most of the time there's like a pattern going on here for these random rankings. He always picks hits, which is good. So my number 2 is Ain't Talking About Love. Now, this is another one that's really popular on the radio. Now, right off the top of my head, I'm already forgetting. I think that's Van Halen 1, if I'm correct. Yes, it is Van Halen 1. Okay, so, again, another one of their bigger hits. Literally, a good chunk of Van Halen 1 is all hits. Like, it's literally all chart-topping, radio-played hits. And that's kind of where they really got started. They had such a good first album, they made a second album, that one did even better, and they just kept getting better and better and better as time went on. And that's called progress, ladies and gentlemen. That is called progression. So, Ain't Talking About Love, I actually, myself, don't hear it a lot here, but it is probably one of the best songs on this list. And I feel like it takes the number 2 spot from me personally. At number 1, that is where Dystro put Ain't Talking About Love. So it looks like Ain't Talking About Love is his favorite from this list. Once again, he probably hears it a little more than I do, and he probably enjoys it more than I do, because I really know he likes the David Lee Roth stuff, especially the first 2 albums. Which that really makes me happy. Like, that means he really is a true Van Halen fan. My number 1, plot twist. My number 1 is Summer Nights from 5150. I know. Literally, out of all the songs on here, I picked one of the only Sammy Hagar songs, and I have my reasoning. I actually found this song way before we did the pilgrimage. I found it a couple years ago. When I was bored, just searching through the Van Halen discography, just checking out songs, and this one really stuck out to me. It just screams summer, and I actually found it during the summer season that year. It just screams to me, it just screams good vibes, happiness, just sunshine. It just feels good. And not to mention, I love Sammy Hagar. I love his solo stuff. Absolutely in love with his solo stuff. I've heard 2 of his albums in full. Both were amazing. But I like some of his Van Halen stuff too, especially when he first started with 5150 and then going into OU812 a couple years later. Both of those albums are amazing. I have heard OU812 twice, and I've heard 5150 once. But both those albums are very good, and Summer Nights definitely deserves my top spot just because it has a lot of replay value for me compared to some of the other tracks on this list. So there you have it. Where would you guys rank all these songs on a top 10 list? Let me know on social media or down in the comments. I would love to hear from you guys. I feel like we don't talk about Van Halen enough on this show. It's probably one of the most slept on pilgrimages we've ever done, by far. But we're picking up the slack now. We're starting to talk about it more, which that's pretty good, honestly. Van Halen is one of those groups that needs to be talked about. And I feel like a lot of kids nowadays don't know who Van Halen is, and I really just feel like they deserve to know at this rate. Now, I believe this is episode 3 for Van Halen edition, if I am correct. You'll know by just looking at the title. I believe this is episode 3. So, there will be more to come. Trust me when I say that. But, now, I must talk to you guys about Dystro's episode for this Thursday coming up. So, he is going to be breaking down another year in wrestling. He is going to be breaking down all of 2022. So, this was 2 years ago. Now, we have yet to do any of the most recent wrestling stuff on this channel. Till now. So Thursday, he is breaking down all things wrestling, all the highlights from 2022. This ranges from New Japan, Impact, also known as TNA, WWE, AEW, GCW, literally any wrestling company that you can think of. Most likely, 9 chances out of 10, he's going to mention it on the show. Now, the reason why I say AEW is because a lot of things happened in AEW that year. It was a pretty big year for AEW in terms of growth, in terms of crowds, in terms of just the company in general. There was a lot of talent that signed there that year. So you definitely will not want to miss that episode of A Year in Wrestling. I honestly love that series. I would like to start doing that, but with music as well. Like, break down a year in music, just go back to a certain time period, like 1999 or 2002, and just talk about the big things that were happening in the music world at that time. That sounds like a good idea. So, I figured since tonight is a random ranking Van Halen edition, let's go with a Van Halen song. And I figured, let's go with DOA from Van Halen 2. I had to think for a minute. DOA from Van Halen 2, that is tonight's song of the night. There is no music video, but there is audio for it, so you guys are in luck. I will go ahead and put a link at the top right hand corner of this episode. At the very end, it will pop up, so stay tuned and be sure to go listen to it if you are a Van Halen lover like myself, or even if you're a new Van Halen listener. Go listen to it. It's great. Van Halen 2 is a kick-ass album, and anything with David Lee Roth, for that matter, is kick-ass. So, if you guys stuck around to the very end, we greatly appreciate your support, as per usual. Be sure to follow us on social media by clicking on the link in the description below, which will take you to Linktree. We have Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, and Twitter. Go on ahead, follow us there, keep up to date with the show. You never know when shit happens. I have had probably the worst year of my life so far. And a lot of things have happened. I've been sick, I've had a lot of traumatic things happen. You just never know when shit pops up. So it's important to keep up to date with us by following us on social media and keeping up with the community tab on our channel. Also, if you guys are looking for some fun stuff to watch when we're not doing the pod, Dystro posts content weekly on his channel. He posts memes and gaming content, and just recently we just played some GTA over the weekend. So he just uploaded some GTA stuff not too long ago. Go on ahead and check his stuff out. His shit is hilarious. And he also just recently hit his 1,400 subscriber goal. Finally, he hit it just before the end of June. So congrats to him. I am so proud of him. Let's keep it up. Let's get him to 1,500. Hopefully by the end of the summer. I'm hoping by maybe end of August. I might be overshooting that. But gives more people time to subscribe and check his stuff out. So please go on ahead and do that if you haven't done so already. Once again, take a listen to tonight's song of the night, DOA by Van Halen. And that's it. Thank you guys for listening. Dystro will catch you guys this Thursday. Peace!